Welcome to our farming systems trial, our oldest trial at Rodale. It is 40 years old. It's the whole reason Rodale was started. It is a side-by-side comparison of conventional and organic crops and their impacts on soil health and crop yield, energy efficiency, water use, and contamination, which is actually in itself a whole nother project that I'm not going to go too much into, but it's also a really cool project, so I definitely recommend going on their site and reading about that. But that's linked with Stroud. I don't know the complete name of it, but Stroud Water Project is what we call it. They also look at nutrient density. I'm not sure if I said that. But yeah, so we have 76 plots out here that I walked all over the other day, taking measurements. But so I'm gonna go down each goal and kind of tell you a little bit about how we measure it, what it is, etc., etc. Because this is our biggest trial, so I think this is definitely a good one to hit. So like I said, it's a side-by-side comparison of conventional and organic. And when I say side-by-side, I literally mean like side-by-side. There's 3 plots that may be organic, and then the next 3 plots are conventional. It's randomized, so it might be organic, and then another set might be conventional, whatever. But you get the idea. They're literally side by side. So, soil health, their main hitter with their organic soil health is that tilling is really bad for the soil. It's not good, and it needs to be done with. And, so they're organic. They came up with a, I think I talked about it a little bit in VST, I can't remember, but they actually came up with their own device called I believe they call it the Rodale roller crimper, which, so, in their crops, when they get big, like that big, and it's time to plant their cash crop, instead of plowing this all up and turning it all over and destroying the soil and all the little tiny guys down there living and helping the soil become rich and nutrient dense, they actually just roll over all of this cover crop. They just roll it over, which breaks the stems, which kills the plant, and then they actually use that plant that was rolled as a mulch, as an organic mulch for the next, you can actually kind of see it here. So in this crop, it looks like it was corn. I don't know what cover crop they had, but you can see that they rolled it and used it as a kind of mulch. This one isn't very good because you can definitely see the soil, but yeah, you get the idea. So they have that as one of their trials. They also, their other main thing is that each plot, I think each plot or each crop either has organic manure when it's an organic plot. They either use organic manure or organic legume, like compost type stuff. Or if it's conventional, they use the synthetic fertilizers, which I'm sure you've talked about and stuff, but that's used in the conventional crops. So the way we measure soil health is through a lot of, every day from us is field day, so we're always out in the field, we're always collecting more measurements, and if we're not in the field, we're in the lab processing all of that data and all of that soil and stuff. So for soil, we take a chemical analysis sample, which is what I talked about in FST, which is a 20 centimeter core sample that's taken out. There's 12 cores taken in each plot, and then they dry it, they sieve it, and then they send it out for chemical processing to see what's in the soil, if there's, a lot of nitrogen or phosphorus, the whole deal. So that's what they do as far as the chemical analysis goes. They also do PLFA tests, which are phospholipid fatty acid tests. These tests, it shows you phospholipids are in the cell membrane. So it shows you how much life is within the soil, because life is a good indicator of a healthy soil. So if the PLFA test comes back higher, I guess I don't take this word for word, but I assume we think that's a healthier soil than not the conventional, but the one with less PLFA whatever in it. So PLFA tests, we do one of those per plot. It might be different over here. I haven't done them over here yet, but yeah, we do that. And we do bulk density cores over here as well. So that's the 0 to 10 centimeter and then the 10 to 20 centimeter core that we take to measure like the density of the soil. And we also do compaction measurements. So we go around and we walk down this whole field, and in 10 random spots along this field, we use a penetrometer to like step on and dig down deep into the dirt. And once it hits 30 psi is the maximum pressure that roots, like, they can't go past soil that is 30 psi or more, 300 psi or more. So the deeper it is, the deeper measurement we get, the better, because that means water can get deeper into the ground, which means roots can get deeper into the ground. So yeah, which means less runoff, a lot of other things. Let's see. So crop yield's easy. We do biomass collection, so we go out into the fields and we put a quadrat down in 3 random areas. We've been doing, I don't know if this will continue into the summer months, but we've been putting a quadrat down and we actually do a stand count. So we sit down and we count every little stalk of rye or corn or oats, whatever we're counting. We take a stand count of that with our own 2 eyes and fingers, which is fun. So that's crop yield for the most part. What else? Energy efficiency. So they measure how much usage they had with like the tractor, and like how much water that used and how much carbon that used, and compared to how much carbon it's intaking into the soil and how much carbon it might be producing in the plants, etc., etc. So yeah, and then we do water tests in here too. So we use infiltrometers to do the water test. That is a whole day in itself, taking the infiltrometer tests, but you have an infiltrometer, you hammer it into the ground, you see how fast or slow the water moves, or it takes for the water to be absorbed into the soil. So the faster, I'm still confused actually on that. I'll have to ask them about that. But anyway, we also do lysometers. So we under most of these plots are buckets. I shouldn't say buckets, more like jugs, and a catching system where they catch the water that seeps into the ground past 5 feet, and then, or I actually don't know if it's past 5 feet, but they catch the water that seeps into the ground, and then they fill it up into a bucket, and then once a year they test that water and see how much chemicals are in it, or if there's any nutrients being run off into the soil. And they also do runoff tests. I'm not quite sure how they do that yet because I haven't done that yet, but yeah, that's a lysometer. So we pump the lysometers 3 times a year to see, 1, how much water it's catching at the bottom, 2, to drain them out because they need to be drained or else it won't intake any water, 3, to see if they're broken, and 4, to get the water chemical analyses, which happens at the end of summer once all the crops are finished growing and all the fertilizer and pesticides and everything have been sprayed and put down, to see what the effects are on the water. And Stroud, which I mentioned in my VST video, the Stroud Water Project actually goes into that a little deeper. We don't work on that too much. We actually have a satellite campus wherever Stroud is located, and they work on that over there. So, what else? Yes, they do nutrient density over here as well. So they do the whole biomass, which I just talked about. They snip the leaves, they dry it, grind it, send it out for chemical analysis, and see what the difference is between conventional and organic. Yeah, I think that's about it for the farming systems trial. Again, this is our longest and our largest trial. There's a lot more information on their website as well. And yeah, some of our other trials that we have going on, we have a lot going on, especially because our funding has kind of increased over the past few years. So we're starting to get more and more projects on board, which is actually really great because personally I think it's for a great cause. So yeah, I will talk about that a little bit more.